Anyway, we love this next guest. He really is brilliant. Seriously, I mean, okay, aside, we do tend to throw superlatives on most of our guests and say nice things, but Anthony Scaramucci, there is nothing this guy cannot talk about, and we love him. Here he is on this Wednesday morning before July 4th, our buddy the Mooch. Good morning, Anthony. How are you, pal?
Hey, it's really summer now, man, right? Happy 4th of July, Sid. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Listen, before we get to this crisis at the border, I want to start with this, Ant, and that is this big parade that Donald Trump is putting on tomorrow in D.C. Of course, he's going to speak at the Lincoln Memorial. He's telling everybody this is about patriotism. This is about celebrating America, the country we love. The Democrats are saying, stop. This is one political rally, and as of last night, as far as I know, not one Democrat had been invited to this big parade tomorrow. So the question is, who's right? And maybe both are right.
Well, I mean, listen, we're such a polarized society now, Sid, that they're both going to have their points. I think what will be at issue tomorrow is what's the president's speech going to be like. If it's a campaign rally, then I think he's making a very big mistake and he's wasting an opportunity. If it's inclusive and it's a lot like his State of the Union address, then I think people come away from it and say, okay, he's the President of the United States. It's a unifying speech. I want to talk about the tanks for a second because I'm ambivalent about them. I get the idea of bringing the tanks in, and I get the idea of the fun of that, and certainly the flyovers is something that we do at Super Bowls and major sporting events. But it just, we've never done that sort of stuff before. Yes, we had the Abrams tanks coming down Constitution or Pennsylvania Avenue after Gulf War I. But that's the only part of it that I'm not in love with, because I'll take you back to Dwight Eisenhower's last speech, his farewell address, where he basically said you got to beware of the military-industrial complex. You don't want to become a society that's overly focused on the military, and we want to be a peace-loving society. So last point, one of the veterans said to me last night, well, the military has afforded everybody all of these freedoms. So the veterans and people in the military, a lot of people like it. But I'm a little ambivalent about it. But the president's got way better instincts about the American people than me. So we'll have to see how it goes tomorrow.
Well, let's hope it goes well. Let's hope everybody has a good time. The fireworks are enjoyable. Anthony Scaramucci, and let us move on now to this, this crisis at the border that all the Democrats, some of the presidential candidates said was manufactured. And the latest development, Anthony, of course, is that a judge has blocked the president's asylum policy. In other words, you cannot detain asylum seekers until they see a judge. They have to be released into the interior, essentially inviting more people to come on up because you won't be detained. What do you think about all this?
Well, I mean, it's consistent with, things like the writ of habeas corpus, and it's consistent with the things like the Bill of Rights. So nobody in the United States that understands the Constitution can, not necessarily agree with the judge. I know where the president's coming from on this, but he cannot be, and his team cannot be surprised by that ruling. Having said that, one of the problems that's happening is that a lot of people make money off of these border crossings, and they're scaring the living daylights out of everybody in Central and parts of South America, where they're saying, hey, look, President Trump's going to close that border, and the time to go is right now. And so one of the weird things about this, in an effort to try to restrict and try to clamp down on illegal immigration, because there's this specter of fear now down there, you're creating high volume of people heading for the border. So a couple things that have to be done. I don't know if anybody's willing to do this, but number one, they have to invest money and resources down in Central America. As much as that would pain people to do that, if money and resources are put down there, less people will head for the border. Same thing that happened with the Marshall Plan, same thing that happened with other American ideas. People don't like that, but that's one of the major things they could do to stop the border influx. Got to solve that crisis, though, because that is going to hit him with suburban women, and that's going to hit him, women en masse, and it's going to reduce his voter turnout for those people that voted for him in 2016. So he's got to get that thing fixed. But there's no surprise to anybody that understands and studies the Constitution where the judge is coming from on that case.
Anthony Scaramucci. So, Ant, I did watch you, Fox News on Monday, after the big weekend for the president, meeting with Kim Jong-un. Thought you were great. And this is right up your alley, right, Anthony? I mean, you're talking about A, North Korea, B, the talks with China, money, trade, right up Anthony Scaramucci's alley. But two things here. First, Chuck Schumer says, oh, stop. All that was with Kim Jong-un was a photo op. Has nothing to do with real diplomacy, real politics. It was a chance to take a picture. I want your comment on that. And secondly, where we are with China as we move forward in these trade talks.
So, I mean, the first part is I cannot stand these eggheads where they're basically talking about he shouldn't be meeting with them, he's legitimizing him, and all this sort of stuff. You got to meet with people, and you got to diffuse the crisis. We've had a 30-year crisis. I can remember Al Gore in 2004 saying the biggest threat to the world, this is 15 years ago, guys, was North Korea, that they violated the agreement in 1994, and they got themselves nukes now, and they are going to be a big threat to the world. The fact that the President of the United States is stepping into North Korea and meeting with Chairman Kim to try to defuse that problem, I cannot understand what's going on here. Now, the Democrats will say fairly that a lot of Republicans went after President Obama when he said he was willing to meet with people without preconditions. I was on the other side of that as well. I said, hey, President Obama should meet with people that are our adversaries to see if we can diffuse things. The trade situation is a totally different situation. It is actually tied into North Korea, though, because if President Trump can solve the trade situation, North Korea being one of the satellite states of China, it'll be easier to get that deal done. And the president's signaling that through Twitter to the American people. Let me get the trade deal done. He's not shooting long-range rockets right now or testing atomic weaponry, and let's see if we can tie both of these things together before the end of the year. So I'm not exactly sure where they are on the trade deal right now. There's a lot of different reports. I was with Steven Mnuchin, the Secretary of Treasury, last week. He seems confident that he can get the deal done. Somebody said he was 90% of the way there. That's not the case, guys. He's not quite 90% of the way there, but he seems confident that in the next month or two they can resolve this.
Anthony Scaramucci on the Bernie and Sid Show on 77 WABC. Anthony, this is the first time we've spoken to you since the debates last week, Wednesday and Thursday, of course, and Kamala Harris passively called Joe Biden a racist. And by the way, Joe Biden opened his campaign by calling the president a racist. He once called Mitt Romney a racist. They're going to put you all in chains. However, his poll numbers are dropping like a rock. Apparently, she hit to pay dirt, and her numbers are rising. What did you make of all that?
It's really not surprising. You guys, we've talked about this where Joe has a hard time with contact with the enemy. He has a tendency to fumble the football when he's in verbal contact. He almost lost the debate to, Paul Ryan. He almost lost the debate to the senator, the governor from Alaska. I'm drawing a blank on her name now. What was her name?
Sarah Palin.
Yeah, exactly. So he almost lost the debate to her. He's not great in those confrontation contact settings. And so the president put out a loop of him stumbling and fumbling up there. Again, it's nothing to do with his age. Go back 30 years ago. Every time he gets into these situations, he drops down to 1% because people look at him and say, wait a minute, he's not thinking well on his feet. He's not coming across presidential. He may be one of the smarter guys in Washington. I'm not really want to criticize him, but I don't think he's going to be able to cross the finish line with that type of attacks. Moreover, guys, he didn't look very well prepared. That was a layup shot that she was going for. He could have turned to her and blocked that shot by saying, hold on a second, totally different generation. Civil rights leaders from that generation have supported me. We're trying to advance the ball to get it to where you guys are now, and I think it's absolutely despicable that you're attacking me on something like that, not understanding the culture of the times. If he had done that, that shot would have gotten blocked and into the second row, over by the Knick players. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, but he didn't do that, okay, and that's the problem that he's going to have every successive debate. And I always say this, and you guys know I've said this, Democrats do better with people that are under the age of 50. Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, John F. Kennedy, believe it or not, Jimmy Carter. They're below the age of 50. They bring out their younger voters. Republicans do better with guys like Dwight Eisenhower, Ronald Reagan, and Donald Trump. They have an older crowd that they can get galvanized around an older figure. So I think it's going to be a problem for Vice President Biden. He's a very nice guy, but I think he's gonna have a problem getting to the nomination.
Anthony, I hope you have your bottle rockets and your sparklers and your firecrackers ready for tomorrow, and you have a great time on this glorious 4th of July. Yeah.
I've got these bottle rockets that have Sid's face on them. So what happens is when they're going to blow up in the sky in the Hamptons, you're going to see Sid's beautiful face out there. If you're listening to the Bernie and Sid show, look for the Sid face rocket tomorrow night.
That is spectacular,
Great.
Anthony.
I love it.
Thank you so much. We do appreciate it.
Excellent job, Anthony. We'll see you at the Polo Club next week. Thank you.
All right, you got it. God bless, man.
You too. Take care. The great Anthony Scaramucci.